الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الذي خلق الإنسان في أحسن تقويم وبعث نبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليرشدوا الناس إلى سبيل الهدى ويخرجوهم من الظلمات إلى النور أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد عبده ورسوله أما بعد يا عباد الله أوصيكم النصر أولاد بتقوى الله تعالى وتعالى. That is to say, my dear believers, all praise, all majesty, all exaltation due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, who created us be ahsani taqweem. And when we find that hasana means not only good, it's not only trying to do good, but it also means excellent. And when we say ahsani taqweem, and taqweem comes from the same root as qama, which when we say aqimu salat, establish salat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this beautiful statement that sometimes is translated that He created us in the best mold and structure. But truly, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He established us, created us in excellence. And that's the excellence that we should recognize in our fellow man, whether we are anywhere in the world, whether he be our brother or our sister, whether he be a beggar or a bum. That is an excellence that is innate to the human being that God created, and you cannot take away that excellence. And that is an excellence that we should always strive to recognize so that there can be no racism, so there can be no division, that we see the excellence in every human being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed to be on this beautiful earth. And that we don't feel like no one can be redeemed, or no one can be changed, or no one can be saved in a way that we believe in the inherent goodness of all human beings. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that we forget this thing, so that we will forget this excellence that we were created in. He sent prophets that bring us the good news and warning, and sent with them books to bring us out of the darkness of our ignorance, our misunderstandings, our blatant just confusion sometimes, and into the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance for us, the way that He would want us to act, the way that He would want us to treat other human beings. I hopefully bear witness and testify that there is nothing and no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah alone. He has no partners, no associates. I also bear witness to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the slave servant and messenger. And today, my dear brothers and sisters, we're in a time of not unique. President Jimmy Carter characterized this as a crisis of confidence. After the assassination of Malcolm, Elton's brother El-Haji Malik Shabazz, after the assassination of Martin Luther King, after the Vietnam War, after the Watergate scandal, the nation as a whole was just reeling from all of these different attacks on social justice and people they believed in. And it was a crisis of confidence in the nation that they had been born in, they grew up in, that they found themselves in, that they had to pay their taxes to, that they were citizens of. We're in a similar time period right now where people, after everything that's happening with the assassination of President Haiti and immigrants at the border and all of the scandals that we've had through the last president and the lawsuits and Black Lives Matter and the marches and the protests, that we as human beings, we as citizens of the United States are probably having a very similar crisis of confidence. Because it's hard for us to be confident in things getting better. It's hard for us to be confident in this world changing when we're seeing all of these ills that we want so badly as believers, as Muslims. We want so badly to correct. We want so badly for us to be able to figure out a way to touch them and change it with our hands or our heart or our tongue. But we feel like we're missing something, like we don't have the ability to make this change. And then we look globally and we look at what's going on in Iran and Africa and China and Russia, and it even seems even more daunting. And then we look at the coronavirus and the way it's affecting people, that the only way that we can have confidence in what's coming and what's to come and put a positive spin on this is if we have tawakkul, and we have that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so today's topic is just simply about confidence. And not confidence driven by ego, not confidence thinking that, I've done this all myself, the confidence of I earned an A on this test and I have succeeded all by myself. No, because that ego-driven self-confidence is one that is very easily eroded. It's one that's very easily shattered. Because when you only believe in yourself, that's the only portion of your that's the only ability that you have. So if you lose your job, even though you are a stellar performer, then your confidence is shot. But someone who has that belief, that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that has that tawakkul, then they are truly have confidence to be able to always continue moving forward. And so what is self-confidence? Although self-confidence and self-esteem are usually used together, self-esteem is really believing very highly of yourself, holding yourself in very high honor, value, regard, respect, love. Somebody with high self-esteem would never consider committing suicide or for those young people that are out there, they have this milk crate challenge that people are risking their lives for, or Instagram people who are risking their lives to get a picture, to get validation from some amorphous internet or somebody else, or get likes and shares and build up their user base on their thing. But they don't seem to hold the proper value on the life that they have, on the life that is unique right down to their fingertips that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed them to have. So someone who regards themselves in high esteem doesn't put themselves at risk. Someone would have high self-confidence, on the other hand, it's all about having trust, faith, reliance. And when you have that trust, faith, and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when you're confident in your own abilities and the abilities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you, it's like you can do anything. More recent modern example, we look at gold medal gymnast Simone Biles. Why so many people were hating on her, for lack of a better term. They were calling her a coward because she chose to not compete. Because she said that her life, instead of putting her life in danger for a gold medal, for a competition, she chose to withdraw. And I say that wasn't cowardice. That was an act of courage. The courage to put your career on the line, courage to put your reputation on the line, courage to say no. And as Muslims, isn't that the most powerful declarative statement that we say? When we become Muslims, those of us who converted to this beautiful religion or reverted to this beautiful religion, Islam, the very most powerful statement you can make is La ilaha illallah. No God but God. We start off with such a powerful declarative statement, and it takes courage to say La. It takes courage to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Especially here in America, where Muslims only number about less than 2% of the overall population. So you know, if you say La ilaha illallah, if you say no, there's no God but God, you are pointing yourself out. You're making yourself a target. You're separating yourself from the masses. You are putting yourself in a position where people are going to look at you strangely. Are going to have different thoughts and opinions about you, especially over here. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, it takes so much courage to say no. But the way that, those new shahadas take that next step, the reason it makes them proud to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, because they started on the path of having tawakkul. They started on that path of having trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They started on the journey that says, even though this is not what everybody else is doing, that I'm going a different way, that I trust that Allah will guide me to the right path. I have trust that this is the right path for me, for my soul, for my destiny, for my family, for myself. And sometimes it's hard to do something new. Sometimes it's hard to have that trust and that faith. I'll give you an example from the Quran where Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he is given the command to go out and minister to Pharaoh, he is takes an honest self-evaluation that says, hey, Ya Allah, I don't have the best speech, so let my brother come with me to help me out. He says, and there's in this beautiful dua, وَلُلُ يُدَتَمِلٍ يُؤْدَتَمِلٍ لِسَانِ يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. And loosen a knot from my tongue that they may understand my speech. That Allah's Prophet Musa alayhi salam knew he wasn't the best communicator, so he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a little help, a little assistance. But just like many of us today, public speaking is one of the number one fears of the human being, just in general. And this is a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded to not just speak to somebody, not just do a little dawah here, do a little dawah there. He said he had to go to Pharaoh, the ruler of the land. He said he had to go in front of all of these people and say, La ilaha illallah, that there's no God. And I don't know about you, my dear brothers and sisters, but when I am doing something that I am nervous about, that I'm afraid for, it really takes an effort of will, to determination, an effort of trust to go out and do this thing, even though that I know that I may not be prepared for it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best knower. And when we call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Al-Wakil, the best provider, the best person to judge and rule over our affairs and dispose of our affairs, that is the way that we can truly have confidence in moving forward. For me personally, I never sought to do khutbah. This is not something that I ever wanted to do. Public speaking is not something that I relish. But I know not only do I have tawakkul, not only do I seek, I'm on the quest to have that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only do I have that, but I also know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنَّمَا أُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّمَا أُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With every difficulty comes ease. Certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, with every difficulty comes ease. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is also credited with saying, O Abdur Rahman, do not ask for authority. If it is given to you at your request, you will be held fully responsible for it. But if it's given to you without your request, you will be helped by Allah. And I'm taken from that beautiful hadith that if leadership is thrust upon you, even so much as they're asking of you to be the khatib for the day, or they're asking of you to be din leader, or the asking of you to do something that you wouldn't normally do. If you're asked to do it because somebody else sees something in you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you take on, you're willing to accept that responsibility, you've got not only your own strengths, not only your own characteristics, not only your own thoughts, but you also get the help of Allah. And what is better than the help of Allah? That should help us to be able to move mountains, help us to be able to do things that we had never thought that we could do, just by believing that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He's going to give you His help, that you give it. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, as we conclude the first half of this Jummah Khutbah, I just want to remind you, as well as I remind myself, that having that tawakkul, that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, should help us and encourage us to give us confidence to do things beyond those things that we feel like we're comfortable doing. It should help us do things beyond our comfort zone so that we can be better, not only in this life, but make sure our scale of good deeds heavy for the next life. That we can improve the life of our fellow brother, of our fellow sister, and that we can do it with a confidence, with a sureness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has our back. Even in Surah Al-Fatiha, we acknowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. You alone do we worship. You alone. It's your help alone that we need, that we seek. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us, then no one can stand against us. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam defined tawakkul as if you trusted Allah would do tawakkul, He would provide you sustenance as He provides for the birds. They go out in the morning with empty stomachs and come back in the evening with full stomachs. That this confidence, this trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have does not mean that everything we want is just going to fall in our lap. So having this trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mean that if you are looking for a spouse, if you are a brother looking for a sister to marry, or a sister looking for a brother to marry, it doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trusting in Allah doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. But trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trusting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants what is best for you should help you to withstand from fornication, should help you practice fasting a little bit longer, help you to have the patience you need to find the best results that you want in this life. And having that tawakkul should help you to overcome the peer pressure that is evident out there, not only in sex, but in drugs and illegal activities, all of these things that are pressing on us, that if you have that trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got your back, that Allah has the plan that's for you, then you can be like Prophet Yusuf. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. Prophet Yusuf, when we see in the story that he sacrificed his physical freedom, he was willing to go to jail so that he didn't commit illicit fornication. He was willing to go to jail to be secluded, to be stripped away from society, to lose the normal freedoms he had, just so that his desires can be kept in agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the course that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set down. And for his faith, for his confidence, for his tawakkul, his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was given everything he had dreamed of. His dreams were made to literally come true. How many of us are willing to sacrifice our physical freedoms so that we can have the gain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will want for us, so we can have the beautiful place, the dreams that we had dreamed of as children? come true. Because when you have that tawakkul, it gives you that patience to have confidence. It gives you that patience to withstand it. And it also helps you to understand that you aren't so much concerned with the outcome. Whether you give a khutbah, if you're giving khutbah the thing, you give a khutbah to 30 people or 10 people or one person, that you still feel that you have done what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked you to do. That you do dawah and you have this huge dawah event and you get 100 people to come through or you get 0 people to come through. That you still feel like you put out the effort that was necessary, and Allahu Alam, that you know that Allah knows your intention and knows your heart. And that we have to walk like Hajar, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim, who went between Safa and Marwa 7 times, and we follow her on Umrah and Hajj, so that we can be remembered that her trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so great that when she was left in the desert without food or water, she didn't beg or plead to Prophet Ibrahim. She accepted her fate and knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would provide, and so she went looking for the provision that she knew was coming. And she looked back and forth between those 7 mountains, and eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's provisions were provided to her at the feet of her child. And so as we conclude, my dear brothers and sisters, I advise you as well as I advise myself to have tawakkul, to have that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to call on Allah as al-Wakil, the best disposer of affairs, to not to be conceited, thinking that anything that we have done, any success that we have in this life is due to us. But no, it is due to Allah and Allah alone. He is kulli shay'in qadir. He is the one who has power over all things and is the ultimate disposer and arranger of our affairs. And then in having this tawakkul, this confidence, one of the ways that we can make sure that we have it within ourselves is to always acknowledge the excellence that we were created in, that we were created fi ahsani taqweem. So we never degrade ourselves. We never allow other people to degrade us, to be called us ill names or unfitting names that help to shape the confidence that we have in the beautiful appearance, the beautiful character that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for us. And finally, that we move forward with taqwa, regard for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and trust in Allah. Oh Allah, we cannot manage this life ourselves without you. Please make of our lives what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own, but bless us to act only in obedience and according to your will. Help us to be of those who hear and obey. Forgive us. We are asking your forgiveness and choose to return. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. O Allah, give us wives and all spouses and offspring for the comfort of our eyes, and help us to be leaders of the righteous. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا واقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله ورسول الله. And again, we're still in the time of COVID, so it's okay to have space between you, but do try to fill in any major gaps so that we can accommodate all of the people for Salah. Allahu Akbar. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لترونهن علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.